Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. Before we read Srimad Bhagavatam, let's invoke the blessing of the Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namah. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govindaha Sarvakarana Karanam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So now we'll be reading today Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1 Chapter 2 and verse number 15. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Vyasadeva ki jai. Yad anudhayasina yukta karma granthi nibandhanam chindanti kovidastasya ko na kuryat katharatim. Yat, which, anudhaya, remembrance, asina, sword, yuktaha, being equipped with, karma, reactionary work, granthi, knot, nibandhanam, interknit, chindanti, cut, kovidha, intelligent, tasya, his, kah, who, na, not, kuryat, shall do, katha, messages, ratim, attention. Translation. With sword in hand, intelligent man cut through the binding knots of reactionary work, karma, by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his message? The contact of spiritual spark with material element creates a knot which must be cut if one wants to be liberated from actions and reactions of rotative work. Liberation means freedom from the cycle of reactionary work. This liberation automatically follows for one who constantly remembers the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead. This is because all the activities of the Supreme Lord, His Leela, are transcendental to the modes of material energy. They are all attractive spiritual activities. Therefore, constant association with the spiritual activities of the Supreme Lord gradually spiritualizes the conditioned soul and ultimately severs the knot of material bondage. Liberation from material bondage is, therefore, a byproduct of devotional service. Attainment of spiritual knowledge is not sufficient to ensure liberation. Such knowledge must be overcoated with devotional service, so that ultimately the devotional service alone predominates. Then liberation is made possible. Even reactionary work of rotative workers can lead one to liberation when it is overcoated with devotional service. Karma. Karma overcoated with devotional service is called Karma Yoga. Similarly, empirical knowledge overcoated with devotional service is called Jnana Yoga. But pure Bhakti Yoga is independent of such karma and jnana, because it alone cannot only endow one with liberation from conditioned life, but also award one, the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Therefore, any sensible man who's above the average man with a poor fund of knowledge must constantly remember the personality of Godhead by hearing about Him, by glorifying Him, by remembering Him, and by worshipping Him always without cessation. That is the perfect way of devotional service. The Goswamis of Vrindavan, who were authorized by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to preach bhakti cult, rigidly followed this rule and made immense literatures of transcendental science for our benefit. They have chalked out ways for all classes of men in terms of different caste and orders of life in pursuance of the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam and similar other authoritative scriptures. Next. शुश्रूषु श्रद्धधानस्य वासुदेव कथारुचि स्यान्महात्सेवया विप्रा पुण्यतीर्थानि सेवनात्. Shushushu, one who's engaged in hearing. Shraddha with care and attention. Vasudeva, in respect to Vasudeva. Katha, the message. Ruchi, affinity. Syat is made possible. Mahat Sevaya, by service rendered to pure devotees. Vipraha, O twice born. Punyatirtha, those who are cleansed of all vice. Nisevanat, by service. Translation. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the message of Vasudeva. Purport. The conditioned life of a living being is caused by his revolting against the Lord. There are men called Devas or godly living beings, and there are men called Asuras or demons who are against the authority of the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 16th chapter, a vivid description of Asuras is given in which it is said that the Asuras are put into lower and lower states of ignorance life after life and so sink to lower animal forms and have no information of absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. These Asuras are gradually rectified to God consciousness by the mercy of the Lord's liberated servitors in different countries according to the supreme will. Such devotees of God are very confidential associates of the Lord. And when they come to save human society from the dangers of godlessness, they are known as powerful incarnations of the Lord, as the sons of the Lord, as servants of the Lord, or as associates of the Lord. But none of them falsely claim to be God themselves. This is a blasphemy declared by Asuras, and demonic followers of such Asuras also accept pretenders as God or his incarnation. In the revealed scriptures, there is definite information of the incarnation of God. No one should be accepted as God or as incarnation of God unless he is confirmed by revealed scriptures. The servants of God are to be respected as God by the devotees who actually want to go back to Godhead. Such servants of God are called Mahatmas or Tirthas, and they preach according to particular time and place. The servants of God urge people to become devotees of God, Lord. They never tolerate being called God. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was God himself. according to the indication of the revealed scriptures. But he played the part of a devotee. People who knew him to be God addressed him as God, but he used to block his ears with his hands and chant the name of Lord Vishnu. He strongly protested against being called God, although undoubtedly he was God himself. The Lord behaves so to warn us against unscrupulous men who take pleasure in being addressed as God. The servants of God come to propagate God consciousness, and intelligent people should cooperate with them in every respect. By serving the servant of God, one can please God more than by directly serving the Lord. The Lord is more pleased when he sees that his servants are properly respected, because such servants risk everything for the service of the Lord, and so are very dear to the Lord. The Lord declares in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, 69 verse, that no one is dearer to him than one who risks everything to preach his glory. By serving the servants of the Lord, one gradually gets the quality of such servants, and thus one becomes qualified to hear the glories of the God. The eagerness to hear about God is the first qualification of a devotee eligible for entering the kingdom of God. Next, number 17. शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तस्थो अभद्राणि विधनोति सुहृदं सताम्. Shanvatam, those who have developed the urge to hear the message of Swakatha, his own words, Krishna, the personality of Godhead, Punya, virtues, Shravana, hearing, Kirtana, chanting, Hridayantasthaha, within one's heart, he certainly, Abhadrani, desires to enjoy matter, Vidnoti, cleanses, Sruhad, benefactor, Satam, of truthful. Translation: Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who's the Paramatma, super soul, in everyone's heart, and benefactor of truthful devotee, cleanses desires for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Report: the messages of personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, are non different from him. Whenever, therefore, offenseless hearing and glorification of God are undertaken, it is to be understood that Lord Krishna is present there in the form of transcendental sound, which is as powerful as the Lord personally. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his Shishtashtaka, declared clearly that the holy name of the Lord has all the potencies of the Lord, and that he has endowed his innumerable names with the same potency. There is no rigid fixture of time, and anyone can chant the holy name with attention and reverence at his convenience. The Lord is so kind to us that he can be present before us personally in the form of transcendental sound. But unfortunately, we have no taste of hearing and glorifying the Lord's name and activities. We have already discussed developing a taste for hearing and chanting the holy sound. It is done through the medium of service to the pure devotee of the Lord. The Lord is reciprocally respondent to his devotees. When he sees that a devotee is completely sincere in getting admittance to the transcendental service of the Lord, and has thus become eager to hear about him. The Lord acts from within the devotee in such a way that devotee may easily go back to him. The Lord is more anxious to take us back into his kingdom than we can desire. Most of us do not desire at all to go back to Godhead. Only a few men want to go back to Godhead. But anyone who desires to go back to Godhead, Shri Krishna helps in all respects. One cannot enter into kingdom of God unless one is perfectly cleared of all sins. The material sins are products of our desires to lord it over material nature. It is very difficult to get rid of such desires. Women and wealth are very difficult problems for devotee making progress on the path back to Godhead. Many stalwarts in the devotional line fell victim to these allurements and thus retreated from the path of liberation. But when one is helped by the Lord Himself, the whole process becomes as easy as anything by the divine grace of the Lord. To become restless in the contact of woman and wealth is not an astonishment, because every living being is associated with such things from a remote time, practically immemorial, and it takes time to recover from this foreign nature. But if one is engaged in hearing the glories of the Lord, gradually he realizes his real position. By the grace of God, such a devotee gets sufficient strength to defend himself from the state of disturbances, and gradually all disturbing elements are eliminated from his mind. Next, number 18. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी. Nashta, destroyed. Prayeshu, almost to nil. Abhadreshu, all that is inauspicious. Nityam, regularly. Bhagavata, Srimad Bhagavatam, or pure devotee. Sevaya, by serving. Bhagavati, unto the personality of Godhead. Uttama, transcendental. Shloke, prayers. Bhakti, loving service. Bhavati, comes into being. Naishtiki, irrevocable. Translation. By regular attendance in the classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering of services to pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who's praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Purport. Here is the remedy of eliminating all inauspicious things within the heart, which are considered to be obstacles in the path of self realization. The remedy is the association of Bhagavatas. There are two types of Bhagavatas, namely the book Bhagavata and devotee Bhagavata. Both Bhagavatas are competent remedies, and both of them, or either of them, can be good enough to eliminate the obstacles. A devotee Bhagavata is as good as book Bhagavata, because devotee Bhagavata leads his life in terms of book Bhagavata, and book Bhagavata is full of information about the personality of Godhead and his pure devotees, who are also Bhagavatas. Bhagavata book and person are identical. The devotee Bhagavata is a direct representative of Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. So, by pleasing the devotee Bhagavata, one can receive the benefit of book Bhagavata. Human reasons fail Human reason fails to understand how by serving the devotee Bhagavata or book Bhagavata one gets gradual promotion on the path of devotion. But actually, these are facts explained by Srila Narada Deva, who happened to be a maidservant's son in his previous life. The maidservant was engaged in the menial service of the sages, and thus he also came in contact with them. And simply by associating with them and accepting the remnants of foodstuff left by the sages, the son of the maidservant got the chance to become the great devotee and personality Srila Narada Deva. These are the miraculous effects of the association of Bhagavatas. And to understand these effects practically, it should be noted that by such sincere association of Bhagavatas, one is sure to receive transcendental knowledge very easily, with the result that he becomes fixed in devotional service of the Lord. The more progress is made in devotional service under the guidance of the Bhagavatas, the more one becomes fixed in transcendental loving service of the Lord. The message of the book Bhagavata, therefore, have to be received from the devotee Bhagavata, and the combination of these two Bhagavatas will help the neophyte devotee to make progress on and on. Next, 19. Tada rajastamo bhava kamalobhadayascha ye चेतयेतर अनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे prasidati. Tada, at that time, Raja, in the mode of passion, Tamaha, the mode of ignorance, Bhavaha, the situation, Kamaha, lust and desire, Lobhaha, hankering, Adaya, Adayaha, others, Cha, and Ye, whatever they are, Chetaha, the mind, Etaha, by these, Anavidham, without being affected, Sthitam, being fixed, Satve, in the mode of goodness, Prasidati, thus becomes fully satisfied. Translation. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in the goodness and he becomes completely happy. Purport. A living being in his normal constitutional position is fully satisfied in spiritual bliss. This state of existence is called Brahma Bhuta or Atma Nanda or the state of self satisfaction. This self satisfaction is not like the satisfaction of the inactive fool. The inactive fool is in the state of foolish ignorance, whereas self satisfied Atmanandi is transcendental to material state of existence. This stage of perfection is attained as soon as one is fixed in irrevocable devotional service. Devotional service is not inactivity, but the unalloyed activity of the soul. The soul's activity become adulterated in contact with matter, and as such, the disease activities are expressed in form of lust, desire, hankering, inactivity, foolishness, and sleep. The effect of devotional service becomes manifest by complete elimination of these effects of passion and ignorance. The devotee is fixed at once in the mode of goodness, and he makes further progress to rise to the position of Vasudeva or state of unmixed sattva or Shuddha sattva. Only in this Shuddha sattva state one can one always sees Krishna face to face by the dint of pure affection of for the Lord. A devotee is always in the mode of unalloyed goodness. Therefore, he harms no one. But the non devotee, however educated he may be, is always harmful. A devotee is neither foolish or passionate. The harmful, foolish, and passionate cannot be devotees of the Lord. However, they may advertise themselves as devotees by outward dress. A devotee is always qualified with all the good qualities of God. Quantitatively, such qualification may be different, but qualitatively, both the Lord and his devotee are one and the same. Okay, let's do one more. 20. एवं प्रसन्नमनसो भगवद्भक्तियोगतः भगवत् तत्त्वविज्ञानं मुक्तसङ्गस्य जायते. Translate word by word. Evam, thus, prasanna and enlivened, manasa of the mind, Bhagavad Bhakti, the devotional service of the Lord, Yogataha by contact of, Bhagavat regarding the personality of Godhead, Tattva knowledge, Vijnanam scientific, Mukta liberated, Sangasya of the association, Jayate becomes effective. Translation. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by the contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 3, it is said that out of many thousands of ordinary men, one fortunate man endeavors for perfection in life. Mostly men are conducted by the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus they are engaged always in lust, desire, hankerings, ignorance, and sleep. Out of many such man like animals, there is actually a man who knows the responsibility of human life and thus tries to make life perfect by following the prescribed duties. And after many thousands of such persons who have thus attained success in human life, one may know scientifically about the personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. In the same Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 55, it is also said that scientific knowledge of Shri Krishna is understood only by the process of devotional service, Bhakti Yoga. The very same thing is confirmed here in the above words. No ordinary man, or even one who has attained success in human life, can know scientifically or perfectly the personality of Godhead. The perfection of human life is attained when one can understand that he is not the product of matter, but is in fact spirit. And as soon as one understands that he has nothing to do with matter, he at once ceases his material hankerings and becomes enlivened as a spiritual being. This attainment of success is possible when one is above the modes of passion and ignorance. Or, in other words, when one is actually a Brahmana by qualification. A Brahmana is the symbol of Sattva Guna or the modes of goodness, and others who are not in the mode of goodness are either Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, or less than Shudras. The Brahminical stage is the highest stage of human life because of its good qualities. So, one cannot be a devotee unless one at least qualifies as a Brahmana. The devotee is already a Brahmana by action, but that is not the end of it. As referred to above, such a Brahmana has to become a Vaishnava, in fact, to be actually in the transcendental stage. A pure Vaishnava is a liberated soul and is transcendental even to the position of a Brahmana. In the material stage, even a Brahmana is also a conditioned soul, because although in the Brahminical stage, the conception of Brahman or transcendence is realized, scientific knowledge of the Supreme Lord is lacking. One has to surpass the Brahminical stage and reach Vasudeva stage to understand the personality of Godhead, Krishna. The science of the personality of Godhead is subject matter for study by the postgraduate students in spiritual line. Foolish man or man with poor fund of knowledge do not understand the Supreme Lord, and they interpret Krishna according to their respective whims. The fact is, however, that one can understand the science of the personality of Godhead unless one is freed from the contamination of the material modes, even up to the stage of Brahmana. When a qualified Brahmana factually becomes a Vaishnava, in the enlivened state of liberation, he can know what is actually the personality of Godhead. So we'll stop here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Vyasadeva ki jai. Anybody has any question, correction, chastisement, realization? All right. So nothing else, we can wrap up and continue chanting. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय. Thank you, dear devotees, for listening to me, and please forgive me if I have not read properly.